Savvy Business Radio, drawing out the best from our guests with our host, Christina Nichman.
Today we're joined by Ian Wishingrad, entrepreneur and award-winning creative director specializing in branding, entertainment, and digital development. He is the founder and creative director of BigEyedWish, a branding and advertising agency, and today he shares some marketing tips with our savvy audience. Find out more about how they can help you today at BigEyedWish.com. Hi, Ian. Welcome to Savvy Business Radio. How are you today?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
I'm very grateful to have you here. You're doing a wonderful work in Manhattan, helping people build their brand. And a lot of people, new business owners getting started, they're not quite sure what that means anymore. Things have changed so much. Before our interview, we talked a bit about how social media and now visual and sonic, acoustics, the sound of your business, things that people can look at and maybe hear the jingle from McDonald's, immediately think hamburgers. The things that make your brand, it's not just all written word, it's visual, it's auditory, and you're helping people really get an understanding of really how to build a good brand. And some of the best brands out there to follow, like Amazon we talked about just beforehand, and Apple. So share with the audience a little bit about your background, how you came to creating your business.
So basically, I started to learn how to cut movies when I was a sophomore in high school at 15 years old on one of the first generation IMAX. And I really realized I had a little bit of a knack for storytelling. And I started making fake TV. I started making fake TV commercials and realized I liked film and television. So I kind of pursued that in college and realized that I had too much ADD to be able to stick with a full-length feature, but I really liked short-form storytelling. So I pursued a career in advertising. I was originally going to consider going down the production route, but I found that there was such a democratization of the technology and the equipment that everyone and their mother can get a camera. There was no more barrier to entry, and the true artists were going to win over me. And I realized I was more of a creative mind than a craftsman with the camera. So I kind of pivoted over to more of the idea side of it and the writing side of it. And I think there's a natural born knack to understanding how to grab people's attention. The first rule in advertising and any branding is to make people stop and actually know and notice you. And as a kid growing up, I was an only child and loved the spotlight. And I realized that I knew how to get the spotlight. I knew how to make people pay attention for me. And then I realized that was something brands will pay a lot amount of money for if you could help them get people to write and talk about them and make them newsworthy. Because there's in the old days, in the traditional advertising, and it's still predominantly true, you can't avoid the fact that sheer media investment and dollars behind your brand are what's going to really make a difference. There's a lot of famous brands out there, and it's not that their advertising or brands are so great. The sheer money they put behind them makes them well-known and recognizable. But there's a lot of other startup brands or up-and-coming brands that really have to fight and earn their attention. And it's a really fun game to figure out, what can I do that's a clever idea that dovetails with the brand and is part of the zeitgeist to make a journalist want to write about us. So as an example, early part of my career, it was right about the time where Facebook was a college thing, and then Facebook became something for everyone in the world. And the news, the zeitgeist was dirty Facebook photos are getting people in trouble. People don't know etiquette on social media. They're posting photos with drugs. They're playing with guns. They're just being stupid. And these photos that they think are being silly with their friends are getting them fired, or their colleges are trying to look at your Facebook profile. So it was just, people didn't know the right behavior per se. And I saw an opportunity that if someone was able to help create some sort of app that would help remove dirty photos or mitigate those, that would be a big idea. So I sold it to a laundry detergent brand called Whisk Laundry Detergent, which was last famous in the 1960s with a jingle called Ring Around the Collar.
I remember.
But when you combine a buzzy idea with the appropriate brand, it becomes, quote unquote, really smart idea. And so we were able to get a big placement in the New York Times and on David Letterman's Top 10 and on 97 different TV stations. And it was basically a viral idea. And so there's a couple different approaches, but everyone's trying to figure out a way to make their brand viral, because it is the most cost-effective way to get the most the most news out about you. And you just need to be really clever about how you do it, because you could do things just for the sake of attention that wind up hurting you in the long run.
That is such a great point. What I've seen often around all the social media hubs and platforms is people trying desperately, a lot of smaller businesses, startups, to scream and holler, buy my product, I'm fabulous, I'm wonderful. But really, they're not saying anything different than the other brands behind them. They're not saying what's uniquely special or why I should be paying attention to you. And it seems like a lot of noise. For you, what would you tell a small startup to kind of break through that noise and begin to get their message out there in a really effective way?
Well, the first thing you have to do is size up your competition. When you're doing branding or packaging in any space, in any part of the market, the first thing we do is analyze. It's called the sea of sameness, and you have to look in the aisle. You have to look at your competitors. You have to see how do they market. So here's a great example is we had one of the most successful launches last year in Petco, the pet store history. And we launched a brand called Playology. And if you look at the pet store, there is a sea of bright colors, happy, smiley dogs. And even though that is an attractive image to a dog owner, when everyone's using the same approach, it winds up becoming wallpaper and you don't notice it. So we noticed was there seems to be two elements missing when you go into a Petco and you look at the aisles. There is there are dark colors like black, which is the predominant color of the packaging we use for the brand, and nothing looks particularly premium or considered. So when we created Playology, we wanted to elevate the brand, make a premium dog toy brand, because there was unique innovation and scent technology that was baked into the toys. So when you actually went to the store, it didn't just look like another dog toy. It looked like a dark premium with a silver foil, science-y pet toy. And that really stood out from the competition. And if you look at every successful kind of consumer brand, let's focus there. If you want to talk about small businesses or service businesses, we could talk about that as well. Okay. But you have to make sure you literally look different and stand out. So that's number one, is literally how you present yourself. Even how you present yourself as a human being. If you're just wearing khaki pants and a tucked in shirt, you wind up looking like everyone else. So you have to find the right balance of wardrobe. Everyone and how you appear is how you are judged. People make their minds up and have a feeling about you instantaneously. And so everything about you, the look of your logo, the way you speak, just the speed of your website loading, the way it even scales properly and feels like a modern site. There is so much nuance that goes into making a brand feel a certain way. And people have to understand there's a big difference between saying things, which is why you say so many people just shout and shout and shout. It's not just about what you say. It's not just about the written text in your communication. It's about bringing it all together in a way that makes someone feel a certain thing. The really good people at branding and advertising and marketing understand that there is a balance between your brain and your heart. And you have to be strategically sound to make someone's brain approve the purchase or approve the brand, but you're truly playing to their heart and their soul. And that's why the brands that people quote unquote love are so valuable, like Apple's worth $1 trillion. It's not just the phone's great, it's the confluence of everything. It's the way that the phone feels and touches and the icons move and the interface. Every element of that brand is so considered all the way through their advertising. And that is why people are addicted and can't live without it. And you have to take that into consideration as you build your brand.
Wow, this is amazing, Ian. I went to a recent sales training in Manhattan, and I was blown away. They said one thing that brands and business owners do often is they focus so much on the features that they can provide people. Oh, here's the wonderful stuff my product or service is going to provide you. And really, it comes off sounding like, look how great and wonderful I and my product are or service. And the people listening to you really don't care about how great you think your product is or how great you think you are. Really, what's in it for me? And then he really made in his home that this has really got to hit the person, the potential buyer at both the heart level and the brain level, because they're not separate. If you hit one, only emotional level, they'll go home with the product and say, oh, I made a big mistake. I want my money back. It didn't hit them in the rational level. So you really need to hit both components, both with your marketing and your sales.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what's interesting to me is you talked earlier about this, how so many people are just screaming, trying to kind of a lot of times match and copy other big brands because they say they're successful. I'm going to do what they're doing. And it doesn't work out for them. why? We talked a little bit before the interview, what works best is really being authentic. How do they do that?
I think we need to go specific. I think it would help us if people are trying to learn from this, if we really kind of focused on something specifically, because in broad strokes, it's not going to be particularly useful. So do you have any examples you'd like to kind of dissect?
Yeah. You know what brand I love that just rocks my boat the moment I saw it was a smart car. But I just get a great feeling about it. What have you found with that particular brand that just made it sing to a lot of people? Not just the fact that it's small, but for me, there's just so many things about its cuteness, its gas saving. I mean, there's just a lot of cute things about that car that really, of course, make it stand out from a lot of other American cars sold on the market.
Well, okay, first and foremost, it was a true innovation, and it was almost a clown car. It was something so antithetical to the American market because America is bigger, 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 bigger. You know, we were doing Ford Excursions, for Chevy Suburbans. Just America is always bigger is better. Yeah. I think the thing that makes it really work is if it was called the small, like Mini is another company that's done a great job in the small car market. But what Smart did was they called themselves Smart. The name of the car is Smart. Who doesn't want to be smart? That brand, oh, I'm smart. Look at me, I'm smart. If they called it like tiny, like they did their marketing very differently. They went kind of ironically logical, and they showed all these funny ways. If you remember the communication of the advertising, it was all the places the car sucks.
Yeah.
Because it was hysterical, because you're never going to go off-roading. You're never going to do these things. But if you are a city dweller and you need to be really nimble and move around, it works really well for you.
Yeah.
Although I don't think for a brand's sake, this is the best one to focus on because it was such a radical departure. And the car was so different. I think to really understand brand, we should probably focus on something where it really comes down to the brand and all the products are somewhat similar. So I'd say if we want to discuss something, let's talk about Powerade and Gatorade as an example.
Okay.
Because Powerade never found their footing. They've tried a million times because they're playing the copy Gatorade game. Gatorade was the first to market. Gatorade was authentic. It was called Gatorade because it was developed for the Florida Gators. It really was the first person to talk about science and electrolytes, and there's a reason they are a multi-billion-dollar company, and it is the brand that athletes swear by. And then they're owned by PepsiCo. So obviously then Coca-Cola comes out. They follow the same color convention. They've rebranded a million times. They go in the same bottle. They create their own phony technology called Ion 4, and they put it in a black packaging, and they sponsor March Madness. But it's always going to be this kind of Me Too brand because they've done absolutely nothing to re-innovate. They're just trying to ride the coattails of a Gatorade and just use their sheer distribution and distribution in dollars to kind of become there, but there's nothing really unique there. And there's nothing, it's so obvious to everyone that it is just a copy, no different than Sierra Mist is a total copy of Sprite. So
stay tuned after these messages from our sponsor. If you have a curious mind like myself, but find you often don't have the time to get to all the books you'd like to read, then Blinkist is for you. Blinkist is the only app that takes thousands of best-selling nonfiction books and distills them down to their most impactful elements so you can read or listen to them in under 15 minutes, all on your phone. With Blinkist, you will expand your knowledge and learn more in just 15 minutes than you can in almost any other way. Plus, you can listen anywhere. I love catching up with my favorite Blinkist titles on my way to work or while working out. Blinkist has a huge library of titles ranging from timeless classics like Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill to #1 bestsellers like Drive by Daniel Pink. One of my personal favorite books and authors is Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion by Robert B. Cialdini. Blinkist is constantly curating and adding new titles from best of lists, so you're always getting the most powerful ideas in a made-for-mobile format. 5 million people are using Blinkist to expand their minds 15 minutes at a time. Get started today. Right now, for a limited time, Blinkist has a special offer for our savvy listeners. Go to Blinkist.com/savvy to start your 7-day free trial. That's Blinkist, spelled Blinkist, Blinkist.com/savvy to start your 7-day free trial. You can cancel at any time. Blinkist.com/savvy.
Yeah, I think that's kind of an example where you have to be look at the mattresses right now.
Yeah.
Right. There's like 1,000 mattresses in a box. And Casper mattress was not the first one to market. Other people thought of this mail delivery. This is actually a perfect example for us to focus on, because Casper is the perfect combination of innovative product and innovative marketing, where there were other people doing these. The whole reason this mattress business became so big was it was one of the last areas of the market where there was a humongous discrepancy between cost and price. People are used to spending thousands on a mattress, but they didn't realize that the cost was so small. So people could start getting really competitive with cost and be able to deliver the mattress to your door. But Casper did it in such a beautiful way, such considered design. It was so Apple-esque in how they did it. And now everyone else looks like a copy of Casper. Yeah. The only other person doing it differently and successfully is Purple. And they've both tackled the market completely differently. Purple mattresses have gone very sciencey, very goofy. The weird scientists on Facebook, they're now $1 billion company, but they really talk about the innovation in the mattress, and they do the prove it tests. So if you remember back in the days, there was a very famous campaign, I believe, for Samsonite, and they had a gorilla throwing the suitcase around. Yes. And it proved how durable. It was really one of the most iconic advertising of all time. And it was the true beginnings of extreme product demonstration. So Casper plays to your heart and your design and shows the mattress and uses cartoon characters and talks about the ease of being able to return it. And it's the perfect mattress and it's only $1,000 and sleep on it for 100 days. And it's beautiful and elegant. Purple mattresses goes completely goofy. They do crazy tests. They show how they could slam an egg on it and the egg doesn't crack. Yeah. So one does a very science and the other one does completely design, and they're both winning. There's enough market share for both of them. But everyone else who's completely copying them is completely burning through their capital, and it's not working.
Wow. So this is intriguing to me, because we talked before the interview how important it is to remember to bring your your being, what is really authentically different about your brand to the market, and do it in a way that's different. Not exactly, you don't want to be like the other brands. But I think it's tricky for people because, as we said, it's so, people are just using that word all over the place. Authentic. What does it mean? And so when you see people on social media and I hear them talking about themselves as their brand, it sounds just like everyone else. So how does someone get in touch with their authentic brand or self and really portray it? Because I think there's some fear around, if I do that, am I going to be an outcast?
Oh, you're right. And that is exactly what most people are fearful. Most people do not have their own businesses. Most people are employed. That is just human nature. So by nature of being really authentic, they would prefer not to be. They have a herd mentality, and that's going to be very difficult for someone with a herd mentality to create an authentic brand. You're absolutely correct. If you look at the people, I think social media stars are the best example of people that embrace who they are. They're unabashedly themselves, and they either are weirdos and lose their friends and people are like, who is this person? Or they become Cardi B, right? They become the people that are so themselves, for better or worse, that really pour it all out there, are the ones that you'll notice have these huge fan followings, because people love that someone could be so themselves. It's so scary to most people, myself included, to just be yourself out there and not care what people feel about you, not care what people think about you. That's incredible. And the other problem is that if you do have people that are willing to go be themselves, but they kind of are boring and unoriginal, that's also not going to really work for many people. So you could always get smarter with your marketing and in branding, but you really, the people that will be successful at marketing and in branding that don't have it in them, in their gut, are ones to figure out which experts can help me.
Yeah. And that would be you guys, BigEyedWish. If they're having difficulty, give you guys a call.
Right. I mean, for instance, our pet toy client is a brilliant guy. He went to Harvard Business School. He did an incredible innovation with his dog toy, but he's smart enough to know, I don't know marketing. I don't know this brand stuff, but I know as a businessman, this is important and it's a consumer product. So he finds someone to help him, as opposed to being someone who says, I know better. I'm going to do this and this and this and this. He has a good instinct as to where to go, so he can guide the process, but he understands I better be in an expert's hand or this is going to be all for nothing. And most people either don't have the resources to hire an expert, or they are sure they have it and they find out they don't.
Yeah, the hard way. But
Yeah.
it's interesting. Ford, someone had questioned him on his education because I believe he didn't have more than a high school education. And he had said, well, I know how to hire the people I need to get the things that I need done in my business. So I don't need to know everything. And I thought that was such a valuable way to look at it, because I don't need to know everything in the universe or even everything I need to run my business. I just need to know where to go to get the people that can make it happen.
You're 100% correct. That's how I run my business. There's no way to scale your business or grow outside of yourself if you can't be honest and go, this is what I suck at and I need to find someone to help me with, or this is what I can tackle. And the more you free yourself up from the things you don't do well, the more successful you become.
Yeah. It allows you to focus on what you're fabulous at, and what you guys are fabulous at is helping people get their brand out there in a really honest, authentic way. And you recently really helped a Greek brand, one of the top known brands in Greece skincare. Is it Kores? Is that how they say it?
Yes. So Kores is the number one Greek beauty brand. They just took on a large investment from Morgan Stanley China to grow globally. And we're going there in October to really shoot the first proper campaign for them. Because the truth is the products are incredible, and they need to tell their story a certain way. And so we decided that the truth is that George Kores' wife, Lena Kores, is this beautiful woman who's also the chemist in the lab. And they really do they go to an incredible extent to do the most natural ingredients to pull. Like, there's two kinds of ways you go to the beauty market. You're either a lot of chemicals and you're all marketing and glam. You sign celebrities and people just want to become that person and you sell an image. Or you have this incredible product story, and I found here they didn't do the best job because they're a Greek brand. Translating into America doesn't work so easily. There are a lot of cultural nuances. So what we want to do is we want to tell that craft story. We want to imbue the brand with all the benefits that are really there. And if you ever seen the show on Netflix called Chef's Table, it's this beautiful documentary about chefs, and you watch their food and everything is so romantic and beautifully shot. We want to bring the romance to the Greek flora and to the water and to his wife and to the laboratory, and show you the process and what they do to make things. It's not necessarily the most out-of-the-box creative approach. It's going to come down to how well we execute the actual visuals, because they have to be of such a high quality. This is not shot on an iPhone campaign. And we're trying to really make you feel the country of Greece, feel the ingredients. Those are what's going to really make you understand what this brand is all about.
Wow, you're bringing something to mind that I don't think myself included pay enough attention to, and that is the story behind the brand. What is your story, your about you, that pulls people in and say, I want to be part of this brand? And I think often, myself included, we forget to pay attention. What is our story that will intrigue people and make them realize, wow, that's an amazing brand?
Yes, and it depends. Not every time it needs to be the founder story, but that sometimes is a very low-hanging fruit and a good way to go. Yeah. But for instance, you look at Allbirds, Harry's, Warby Parker. They have stories of their founders, but the brands live outside of them. They didn't talk about two guys who wanted to change the glasses industry. They gave the voice its own personality and brand. And these companies have been around for less than 10 years, and they're all worth billions of dollars. And that's because they spend so much time and appreciate the brand, and every touch point with it is so important. I'm looking at right now, are you familiar with Glossier?
No, I'm not.
So Glossier is like the hottest beauty brand in the world right now, started by this girl a few years ago named Emily Weiss. She had a blog called Into the Gloss that had hundreds of thousands of readers, and she had a unique voice. Girls loved her, and she was able to take her audience and create a line of beauty products. And they love her, and they love her brand, they love her products, and she's done a masterful job of creating like a very hot brand that I think most recently just raised another $38 million. So it's really understanding that you're really knowing your audience and making sure you're creating something of value for them.
Yeah, awesome. That's a wonderful point. Now, how does a person know, say, either a product or otherwise? I often hear them focus on the founder and not always the product. Is there a time that you should focus on the person more, the founder per se, or the product or service?
It depends. I think, well, sometimes I think when you're going, especially in the food space, food is nice about founders because you really want food is made by a human, you know that not every stick of lipstick or every pair of glasses is being made by X person. But a lot of times I think in a food space or restaurants, those things, that it's helpful to have a founder story. But also, but for instance, with Corez, this Greek company, the name is their last name. And I believe the founder story is authentic and the way to go, because it's a mix of, if you just talk about how they make their stuff, you just become a product story. It's the passion of the people behind it and the mission they're on to take the best of nature, make it safe via a laboratory, and let nature do its thing is a powerful story. So there's no real rule of thumb. Every single thing you approach needs its own assessment. Recipe. There's not like a hard and fast rule.
Yeah. And that goes with all marketing. They'd have to have a sit down with you guys and see what best fits their brand and the product, service, and information they're bringing to the marketplace. How can people get in touch with you guys and get started today with building the fabulous brand?
I just send an email to grow, GROW, at BigEyedWish.com, BigEyedWish.com, grow at BigEyedWish.com, and we'll set a call.
Fabulous. Now, if we leave here today, what's one piece of advice you would give a new business owner getting started with marketing and branding?
Always be selling. And you can never have enough leads, and it's really a numbers game, and don't take it personally.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, because one thing I think we do, we rest on our laurels. Once you get a couple sales, a couple clients under the belt, we're good, we can rest now. But no, when those dry up or they leave and it's time for them to move on, do you have anything backed up in the lead generation thing, keeping it going, keeping it plugging? You want to keep the momentum going.
Yeah, act as if you're never, I go out there every day. I've been in business for 4 years, and I've never once presume every day is the same day. Every day is more business. And if you don't have someone, a co-founder, if you're in a service business like this, if you're not someone who's thinking about the next, it's going to be a tough business.
Absolutely. Well, this has been such an awesome, wonderful chat. I'm hoping that anyone listening in will just pull in this information, help themselves grow in their brand. And if not, give you guys a call so they can, have an expert behind the scenes helping them grow, because not everyone's an expert at this. But I thank you again, Ian, for coming to Savvy Business Radio.
Thanks for having me.
Savvy Business Radio broadcasts worldwide via a large podcast network celebrating business owners, entrepreneurs, influencers, and successful individuals. Find out about our paid sponsorship opportunities or how to become a guest. Call 732-474-7375 or email Christina at SavvyBusinessRadio.com.